The white society's brainwashing of black people now evokes an automatic angry emotional response against anyone teaching black liberating truths. But nonetheless, those who know the truth must teach African proverb. Many of us have said that the worst thing that Christianity has done to we Africans is that it made us passive, that it neutralized our warrior spirits by making us forgive and love our evil oppressors, even though they've never actually earned our love nor our forgiveness. But that's not actually the worst thing that Christianity has done to we Africans. The worst thing that Christianity has done to we Africans is that it limits our mental references to false narratives created by Europeans. Embedded within the Christian religion is a false ideology that subliminally exalts Europeans above all other racial groups. Case, point, and proof. The Bible says that the first people on earth were Adam and Eve, and the white society depicts them within all of their paintings and publications as having been Europeans. And they teach us that all people came from those two Europeans. Within that narrative, they've strategically placed themselves as being the first and at the center of all mankind. But here are the facts that are to the contrary of the Adam and Eve lie. According to biblical scholars, Adam and Eve lived between 6,000 to 8,000 years ago. However, carbon dating testings have scientifically proven that the Great Pyramid of Africa's ancient Egypt is more than 12,000 years old. Testings have also proven that the Great Sphinx of Africa's ancient Egypt is even many thousands of years older than the Great Pyramid. The Great Pyramid and the Great Sphinx are older than the biblical timeline of Adam and Eve's creation, thus proving that Adam and Eve were not the first people on earth. Furthermore, since Africa's ancient Egypt is older than Adam and Eve, who predates Shem, the father of all Jews, this proved that it's impossible that any Jews were involved in building the ancient kingdom, since it was erected before the first Jew was even born. Carbon date testings have scientifically confirmed that the ancient kingdom was built by Africans many thousands of years long before the arrival of the first Greeks and the first Arabs during the 7th century. The white society teaches us that ancient Egyptians were also Caucasians. When Africa's ancient Egyptians were built, there were only Africans in Egypt. This is proven by DNA analysis that have been performed upon the mummies of the ancient pharaohs. Their DNA testings prove that they belong to the human Y chromosome group E1B1A. This is the Y chromosome group of sub-Saharan Africans who speaks the Niger-Congo languages. These are black exalting facts that Christians prevents the African minds from seeing. Or should I say Christianity prevents the African mind from seeing. Through Christianity, the white society has created a false version of history that exalts their racial group and marginalizes we Africans. And then they impose that false version of history upon we Africans. We then function based upon that false history that exalts Europeans rather than our true great history that exalts ourselves, thus mentally enslaving us. So often I encounter black men and women that declare themselves as being blessed and highly favored for strongly embracing a Christian religion that actually mentally enslaves us. The early white Christians' conversion of Africans into their religion had absolutely nothing to do with saving the souls of Africans so that Africans could join them in heaven during the afterlife. This is an irrefutable fact because the early white Christians literally believed that Africans had no souls and that heaven was for whites only. In fact, the early white Christians believed that the thought of an African entering heaven was as ridiculous as a dog doing so. This is an absolute fact. When we logically looked at facts as they truly were, we can say with great certainty that the white enslavers' conversion of Africans into their religion had absolutely nothing to do with saving the souls of Africans. There was another self-serving reason why they put their time and energy into teaching Christianity to a people they otherwise treated so brutally. The true self-serving reason was to indoctrinate the belief of a white God into their subconscious mind. When the Africans were taught to believe that God is white, this produced a profound adoration towards whiteness within their subconscious minds. This subconsciously happens without most Africans even realizing it. This profound adoration towards whiteness is then transferred and transposed upon the white race. This makes the Africans feel subservient towards white people, therefore more compliant with white dominance over their lives. It made them into better slaves, and it made Africans easier to be colonized. The effects of that brainwashing scheme, initially implemented hundreds of years ago, has been left uncorrected and unremoved, and instead is being reinforced through movies, television shows, and paintings constantly depicting Jesus as being white. You know, they've got our people so brainwashed that stating this fact literally offends millions. Many black Christians attempt to defend their religion by claiming that Christianity was first practiced in Ethiopia by we Africans. Many believe that the discovery of old Ethiopian Bibles and paintings proves that Christianity was originally the religion of we Africans. However, in reality, the Roman Emperor Constantine created the false Christian religion in the year 325 AD. Christianity did not reach Ethiopia until the reign of King Ezana in the year 341 AD. That's 16 years after the Romans created the false religion. Therefore, those old Bibles and old paintings in Ethiopia of Christians proves absolutely nothing. Romans created the false religion. Christianity is not the original belief system practiced by we Africans before the year 325 AD. The Bible was originally written by the Romans Council of Bishops under the guidance of Roman Emperor Constantine in the year 325 AD. The Christianity we know today is a result of what those men agreed upon over a long time, including the timing of the religious most important holiday, Easter, which celebrates Jesus rising from the dead, the Trinity, and Jesus being a Messiah. The Romans' creating of the Jesus Messiah myth was actually an ingenious scam. Its ideology that to enter the kingdom of heaven, you had to go through Jesus, gave the church immense power, because it literally meant that the church held the one and only key into heaven. That's ultimate power on earth. Praying to God through a subordinate middleman Messiah was not the belief of our ancestors. Ask yourself, why does an all-knowing God need a middleman to speak to him in your behalf? Doesn't he know you better than anyone else does? Our original African spiritual system taught every individual to seek their own direct interconnection to the Most High, not through organized religion, but instead a personal oneness that is established between the inner mind and that which we know as God. It is an experience that no two individuals may necessarily verbalize in the same way. Some may say that it speaks from above. Some may say that it comes from within. Some may say that it comes through the mind, while others say that it comes through the heart. It doesn't matter how they interpret it, what they say, because in our own true belief system, they're all correct. It is their own individual oneness with the Most High. There is no returning Messiah. That myth has been used as a tool for centuries to keep us complacently waiting for nothing. Furthermore, if the Bible truly contained the empowering words of an infallible God, it would have been kept as far away as possible from our enslaved ancestors, and not instead have been brutally forced upon them as it in fact was. Moreover, the ungodly way of how the Bible was brutally beaten into the blood-soaked minds of our enslaved ancestors also totally disqualifies it from truly being of God, because an infallible God would not allow his words to be introduced to a people in such a brutally ungodly manner. It's a contradiction of God. Millions of African Americans clings to the Bible particularly and endorse the belief that because they believe that it's us. They believe it tells the story that we African Americans are the Jews in the Bible, so we hold on to it. And many are so mentally inept of what actually qualifies something as being proof that they ignorantly believe that Deuteronomy chapter 28 provides that proof. That biblical chapter tells the story of a people that would be held in bondage for 400 years under the yoke of another people. Moreover, that when these people reach 400 years of their bondage, that God will deliver them from it. However, the fact is that we African Americans have now been in the U.S. for more than 400 years, going on 406 years to the time this video is being filmed, and yet we are no closer to being liberated. This profound contradiction exists because because the Bible is a work of fiction. And that chapter is not about us. A Bible written by our most ungodly enemies and brutally beaten into our minds does not have our story. The Bible is believed by those that are either too complacent to research facts or too brainwashed to accept facts. The Bible is merely one of the tools the white society used to facilitate their long-term oppression of black people. Their war is being waged against our minds, and they use the information that we receive to shape our minds in ways that serve the white society. Religion is to control. Media is manipulation. Education is indoctrination. Entertainment is distraction. The white society uses information warfare to mentally enslave black people. And then they feed idiotic ideologies into us, and we cling to the idiotic ideologies. The idiotic ideologies makes the ignorant ones feel empowered, and it makes the intelligent ones become quiet, and allow these idiotic ideologies to prevail throughout society, creating a system of being mentally enslaved. It's the black people's matrix. We must function based upon what is true. Those of us who are telling you the truth are trying to free you from a mental prison. You don't even know you're trapped within. It's time to wake up to your reality. One love and peace.